This is Matt from Trail Rider Camp, and we are back out here again at the Montour Trail. Specifically, I'm at the parking lot on Valley Brook Road, mile marker 31. So roughly where I left off last time. And when I say roughly, last time I had actually turned around in kind of a parking lot of a yoga studio. It's called like Burn something or other. And I mentioned that, okay, there's some parking down at the one end, and then, you know, the rest of the parking is reserved for the business. Well, I pulled in there this morning, and the more I kind of looked around, the more I said, you know what, I wouldn't want somebody parking in the wrong spot because of my video and getting towed or something like that. So I decided to get back in the car and go literally a few hundred feet up the road to this much larger parking lot. And you can see, I mean, you know, we come down here, and there's probably a good 30 spots or so open at this lot with the trail right behind us. So I would advise parking here if you're in this stretch of the woods on the Montour Trail. So today's goal, we're going to finish up the trail. We did the first two sections in two earlier videos. Here we're starting at mile 31, and we're going to go all the way to the town of Clariton at the far eastern end, mile 46. So we're looking at about 15 miles out, about 15 miles back. Now this is a part of the trail that, you know, I've done the first part in the past because I mentioned my son used to practice soccer right off the trail here at a place called the South Point Fieldhouse. And so I would come down here and I probably logged hundreds of miles over the course of about a year just doing on, you know, this little stretch. But the thing is that at a certain point, the trail hits road riding. And you're kind of on and off the road for a little bit. There's one stretch in particular where it's about 4 or 5 miles of road riding. So a lot of people avoid this end altogether. And frankly, I've never done the road riding portion. So I figured, okay, today's a good chance to check it out and to, you know, kind of bring this trail to its finality. So one of the things that I've done to kind of assist me in that is I use a navigational app a lot called Komoot, and I highly recommend Komoot. I know a lot of people like ride with GPS better. You know, to each their own. Thing I like about Komoot is that there's a one-time $35 fee, and you get lifetime, you know, offline mapping, voice navigation. So I use it anytime that I'm out if I want to record a ride to get the stats. I do not use a biking computer. I just use my phone. This is a low-budget operation. So I plugged in, you know, my start point, I plugged in my end point, and sure enough, it totally aligned with the Montour Trails map that they have online. So I'm going to use that to assist me just to make sure I'm on the right roads, and I'll kind of show you what those roads look like. So if you're thinking about, you know, do I want to tackle this road riding portion or not? So here we go. So this first part here has all been paved, which is a nice surprise. Like I said, most of the Montour Trail's crushed asphalt, but at least here, mile 31, 32, not sure how long this is going to last, is paved. And you'll see there's also kind of a path that goes off to the right when you start off, and that goes up to the Petersboro soccer complex. It's a big youth sporting complex with a bunch of fields. So again, might have a snack shack up there if they're actually playing games, but otherwise that's all that is. So we're a couple miles in, and the trail splits, and you got the continued nice paved path that goes over that way, and that is a connector trail, I think up into an area called Bethel Park. So that goes, it says 3.2 miles, but we're going to bear right, get back on the crushed limestone, and continue on the main path here. And as you can see, this morning it's 7 a.m. on a Sunday, and it's not many people out, but it's also super humid, very hazy, kind of mist in the air. So I think that's kind of keeping people at bay for now. So I definitely remember this part from some previous rides. First 3 miles out of the parking lot, we were going up. And then you kind of reach the peak of a hill, and now we're just literally coasting down. I'm not even pedaling. And you can see it's got much more wooded in terms of the feel. Trails widened out a little bit, but from a scenery perspective, you're just going through people's backyards. I mean, you look on the other side of the road, there's houses. So not much to look at in this stretch, but easy coasting downhill. However, that means I'm going to be pedaling hard on the way back. And then one other thing is I do believe I passed some food back there, so I'll have to try to see what that is on the way back as well. So this is like the third or fourth of these bridges already this morning. And all they are is kind of like road overpasses. There's nothing scenic. In fact, there's a bunch of broken down cars next to me. But this one's a little bit, lengthier, over 100 feet easily. There's a nice creek down below. So, you get some bridges in this section, but not much else so far to look at. So just went through our first kind of road crossing, which is just, across a few neighborhood streets and up about 100 feet. Very well marked signage. And then next to the trail here is a big parking lot for what's called the T. So the T is the mass transit system that brings you from the South Hills down into the city of Pittsburgh. And so you got some businesses over there. I saw a gas station over there. So again, some businesses there if you need something, whether it be, a drink or some snacks or whatever. There's some on the other side of the T line. And then another kind of access thing up to some townhouses. So one thing that's always impressed me about the Montour Trail is how they've kind of interwoven with the surrounding community. So right now we're in, I believe we passed in a South Park Township, and I believe there's a South Park connector spur as well up ahead at some point. All right, so we're to the first point where we're going to actually do some navigation here. So you just get to the stop sign and there's literally no signage. You come to a road and you're looking around, there's some homes off to the left, and it's like, well, what do I do? And if you look to the right, there's a main road called Brownsville Road, and it's a fast moving road. Well, what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to hang a right here, make a left onto Brownsville Road, and we're going to be on Brownsville Road for all of one street, and then we're going to turn left. So I'm going to keep the camera on. I apologize for any shaking and poor camera work, but I'm going to need both hands as we do this.
Now turn left onto Brownsville Road.
So you can hear Kamut in the background. There's a small little Montour Trail signage pointing you down the way. And here we go. You can see not much on the side of the road here to work with.
Take the next left, then turn right.
Next left, Stewart Road. So there's a sign there on the side of the road that tells you that.
Take the next left, then turn right. Now turn left, then turn right.
Stewart Road. So yeah.
Now turn right onto Montour Trail.
Car behind me, car coming at me. So definitely a little precarious. I wouldn't want to do that in busy traffic at all. So just wanted to highlight this real quick. Right past that Brownsville Road connection, you have the South Park connection. So you follow this and it'll bring you up to the park known as South Park, big park in the South Hills of Pittsburgh. And you can see it's this, I mean, I thought it was
Follow this way for 1.42 miles.
I thought it was a maintenance trail at first. And it says here that the slope, maximum slope, 15 feet. So, and it looks like it's like
for 750 feet.
Sorry about that. It looks like it's loose gravel. So I would not recommend trying this on anything but a mountain bike. All right, here we are at the next kind of weird navigational thing.
Take the next left, then in 650 feet turn right onto Montour Trail.
Then we gotta curve around and go up this steep hill.
Now turn left, then in 300 feet turn right onto Montour Trail.
To here, quiet neighborhood road. Then you can see the signage down there on the right. So kind of quirky, but not bad.
Now turn right.
Create a little creek here down below, right around mile 48 and a half. So this has probably been the best scenery all day, which again is not saying much thus far. So we're at mile 39 and a half, and this is as far as I've been to date. So this is where it runs into, was it Piney something road? So I don't get the map in front of me. Piney something road, I don't know, but you can't miss it. And it says trail route on road next 0.4 miles. So I've at least been impressed by the amount of signage. And there's a porta-john over here. But this looks like fast moving traffic and double yellow line. So I'll record for a little bit and then I'll probably shut it off so I can focus on what's more around me.
Follow this way for 3.67 miles.
3.67 miles on this road, it says. All right, that was deceptive. So it told me I was going to be on the road for 3.6 miles, and immediately after just a short little jaunt under a tunnel, I am on this little roadside path. Now, it's bumpy as can be, but it's off the road. I just wanted to show this real quick. So we're right near where we're about to get back on road riding again. So off of this little roadside part of the trail, which was a surprise and was very nice. But it ends right up there at kind of a busier intersection. And then there's a parking lot over there. And over across here, almost hidden, you have this porta-john. And then you had this chained off area. Well, if you come up closer, you'll see this is the third and last of the Montour Trail campsites. So if you look back there, there's...
Follow this way for 1.14 miles.
Kamut's driving me nuts. I'm trying to make these videos for you. It keeps chiming in. But anyway, back there's an Adirondack shelter. There's a fire ring. There's definitely a ton of space to put up tents. So I'm not going to creep back there in case somebody is camped out. I don't see any evidence of that, but I don't want to surprise somebody says it's so early in the morning. But this is a nice setup. Campsite number 2 is a nice setup. Campsite number 3 is a real nice setup. That first one, Boggs Run or whatever it was called, I would definitely pass on. So here we go, heading on to Peters Creek Road for the next on-road part. This looks like a fairly quiet side street. No truck sign up. This does not look bad at all. I would definitely not be afraid to ride on this. Like I said, so far that Brownsville Road part, which was just literally one street, a few hundred feet, is the only place where I'd say was pretty precarious riding on road. Peters Creek Road, phenomenal. Didn't pass a single car the entire time. Passed about 3 or 4 cyclists, some people out for a walk. Smooth
Take the
asphalt,
next right.
Fast moving. So I'm up to here, so I gotta follow the signage a little bit. Let's see where this takes us.
Now turn right, then go straight. Now go straight, then turn right.
Yeah, that's one thing I've been very impressed on, is the signage is very clear. You can almost see one sign from the next sign. And I remember I used to do a lot of trail maintenance when I was younger for hiking trails. And that's how, I was taught to do. You always put a blaze where you can see the
Now
next
turn
blaze.
right onto Oak Road.
So extremely well signed in terms of the kind of road connection parts. So yeah, that's the first car I went
Follow
past
this
in
way
about
for
3 miles.
0.49 miles.
After I last taped, you actually end up coming up a fairly steep incline, and then you kind of coast down and around, and then you come up to this intersection where you have to, I guess, cross Route 51. Now, Route 51, Clariton Boulevard, is one of the main thoroughfares of the South Hills at Route 19. And, right now it's not overly busy, but as the day progresses, it'll be super busy. And people drive insane, and there's like no shoulder to speak of whatsoever. Frankly, I'm of the mindset that they should just blow up all of Route 51 and start over, because it's that bad of a road. About 1 million used car dealerships. But then this is where kind of the map is very unclear to me, because you cross, because I wouldn't recommend staying on the road here, and you have this funeral home, and the trail's supposedly that way. So I'm going to try to cut through this funeral home parking lot and see what's kind of on the other side. Okay, so here's what I would recommend you do at this stretch. So cross like I did to the funeral home. You'll go into the funeral home parking lot, dismount off your bike. You'll see there's actually a fence between the funeral home and these like adjoining businesses. But there's a very small stretch of grass, like a little bit right along the side of the road here. Walk your bike along there through the grass into this next parking lot. You ride it through this parking lot, and there's your Montour Trail sign shooting us down that less busy road. And literally that offshoot road near Route 51 brings you down to a big, it's like a public transportation park and ride lot, which there's nobody on this road. And then you're back on the trail again. So if that was the extent of the on-road riding that I've heard people complain about it, like I said, other than a few very small iffy places, the crossing of Route 51 and that small amount on Brownsville, everything else has been very well planned out from a traffic standpoint and a safety standpoint. This next stretch of trail here, the surface has definitely changed some. It's a larger gravel. It's not a big gravel, but it's a larger gravel compared to a crushed limestone. And so I can hear it constantly flying up and pinging off of me. Probably not suitable for a true road tire. I have a 700C hybrid tire on mine, and I feel pretty confident about it. But then there's also these kind of like mud patches where the gravel's kind of washed off. And so you go along, especially now where it's sun's just coming up and a little bit hazy still out, it's hard to see. You're going along fast, you hit one of those soft spots and you feel your grip just kind of slips out from underneath you. So be aware of it on this kind of last stretch here. I've reached the eastern terminus here at Clariton, and so you see a nice big parking lot. And then you get to the end and you got this busy street, I think it's called North State Street, which brings you kind of into the heart of Clariton, I believe down that way. And then you see laid out right in front of me is some of the last vestiges of steel in Pittsburgh. So yeah, you still got some fully functional mills going. And so a lot of times in the local news and chatter you hear about air quality alerts, and almost always they center right around this plant and the emissions that they're kind of sending out that kind of get stuck down in the Mon Valley area here. But Clariton is, a typical Monongahela riverfront town in the sense that life here revolved around steel for so long, and then when the mills all kind of went away, the community fell on hard times. And the school district, now has a very small population, stressed budgets, low property values, but they have one of the finest football programs that you can imagine. I mean, we're talking constant WPIAL and state championships for football, so a lot of community pride here still. So anyway, made it to the end. Gonna turn around. Not sure if there's really anything for me to show you on the way back that I missed. So yeah, head on back. So I'm on my way back to the car, and as I had kind of prophesied on my way to Clariton, going from Peters Township to Clariton is smooth sailing from the standpoint of you're going downhill almost the entire way. It's gradual, but you know, there's some nice places to coast. Well, here, way back, I am just spinning uphill the whole time. You know, 3-4% grade in most places. A few places where there's signs, they'll say 7% or something. And it's so humid out that I am just drenched right now. So know that, keep that in your planning, that you know, if you decide to do this segment to the east, you got kind of hard pedaling on the way back. So right here is really the only trailside food I've seen. It's somewhere in the mile 32, 33 range, and it's right off a main road. So it says Perea Gyros, and it's currently open, and it's like 9:30 in the morning right now. There's some outdoor seating and an access right to the trail. So basically from mile 34 to 31, which is where I'm parked, it's just been paved. It's been a gradual downhill, and I really needed this because like I said, it's getting really hot, really humid, and I was going uphill for probably over 10 miles, and now I'm just kind of coasting to the finish line. Now time for the summary review. So I gave this last segment of the Montour Trail a 3 out of 10 on scenery. Other than just a few bridges over traffic or a creek that ran along a large part of the roads, there really wasn't much to look at. Surface rideability, I gave it a 6 out of 10. Different variety of surfaces. Also way more in the way of uphill, downhill than previous sections. Safety, I gave it a 2 out of 5. You know, this is the kind of part of the trail that I would not bring children on because of all the road riding and road crossings, especially the section on Brownsville was kind of dangerous, and crossing Route 51 was a little iffy as well. Food and drink, 3 out of 5. There's one food place, the gyro place, right on the trail. You could also see a number of options directly off the trail. East McMurray Road has a lot of options. There's some gas stations near the T lot. So there's definitely food options available. Parking, 4 out of 5. It's still there. There's a lot of it. It's just not as big and nice of lots as previous portions of the trail. Other facilities, I gave it a 3 out of 5. Not near as much in the way of other support facilities. No water. Wildlife, 2 out of 5. Saw some deer, but that's it. Fun, 2 out of 5. Again, not an overly inspiring part of the trail, and altogether that puts us at a 25 out of 50 on this segment. So in my opinion, the lowest scoring segment of the Montour Trail by far. If I had to rank them, I would say that the middle part's the best, that the northern part from Coraopolis through Robinson is probably the second of the two, likewise very fun. And then this part, I would say, kind of lacks a lot of the bells and whistles that the other parts have.